Well, hello dear friends. What a wonderful day to be able to have some playtime. I've had such a lovely weekend and I hope you have too. What have you been doing? I had quite a lazy day yesterday. I was busy doing some quilting because I'm busy making a quilt with stars for my granddaughter. But today I've really felt that I needed to just do something quite soothing and relaxing to round off the weekend nicely. So I'm here to play making some lovely background papers for working our collages with. And I'm going to be doing a journal to do with sea themes. So I'm going to be using these lovely watery colours. So what I have with me here, apart from the stencils, are some distress spray stains. Let's say that again. Distress spray stains, mowed lawn, faded jeans, salvage patina, speckled egg, and lost shadow. And then the distressed spritz stains, which are brilliant because they've got this little shimmer in them. Peeled paint, peacock feathers, weathered wood, and wilted violet. One thing you should just bear in mind is that when you do have these various sprays, unless they're just a stain, you need to just mix them up really well. So they've got a little ball bearing inside and you need to give it a good shake. You can hear it moving around just so that the color mixes nicely. And you will also see that if you are working with your metallic colors with a shimmer, that they do tend to settle a little bit too. Give it a good shake and it all mixes around nicely. I do store my distress spritzes on their sides just so that it's a longer surface to be able to get the little ball bearing to move up and down. Anyway, that's just by way of intro. I've got some just normal copy paper I'm going to be using and some brushes in case I need them. So I'm just going to get myself ready now. So I'll just show you some of the stencils that I've hauled out. I might not use all of them. I like that one because it's got a nice sort of watery feel. That is sort of fairly wavy. Nice little stars. Checkerboard. Bubbles. This one's got quite a lot of nautical symbols and sort of different background patterns. There's one little bit that hasn't come away from the stencil design. And then I have these just random geometric shapes but quite nice and watery. Netting, which feels like fisherman's net. Could also be almost a bit like a sea urchin or some kind of shell. And then this one's just for fun. I bought this a little while ago. It's a stencil of part of the map of London and I just really want to see how it works out. So we're going to try these out. What else? The little square ones that I have, I just bought as a set on Amazon, I think. There were a whole lot of them together, all just background stencil sheets, and the others I have got individually from various suppliers. I don't remember where. I'm going to be using a piece of paper inside a plastic sleeve as a palette because I want to show you that if you don't have fancy equipment that you can actually use that. And I also have some A4 copy paper and I'm just going to be working on that. So I think to begin with what I'm going to do is just start off with my little bubble stencils and we'll just see how they go. So the idea here is that I'm going to spray some color onto my plastic sheet here, and then I'm going to use my brush just to move it around as I want to on the stencil. I'm going to push my stencil right to the corner here so that I can cover the whole page. And let's go for some quite nice gentle colors. This is speckled egg. And I think I'll have some lost shadow. And maybe some weathered wood. Let's see how we do with this because this has got a little shimmer in it. And I'm going to start off by just spritzing my page a little bit so it's ever so slightly moist. We'll just see what happens. I have no idea. Let's go for it. This is really just a lovely way to be able to switch off and enjoy what you have. Oopsie, stencil moved. There we go. Okay, so I've got a kind of a watery feel there. I'm wanting this just to move a little bit and I'm not specifically phased that that's not keeping to that shape. So let's just add a bit of water here. And I'm just going to leave that to do its own thing. We'll see what happens. Now I'm going to take the ink that I have on this stencil and wet this area here and just plop it down, and we'll see what happens. I do have a little bit of the inks on this piece of plastic, so I'm just going to ever so slightly use those up. And look at that, you've got two completely different looks here. One where you've got the positive, where the shape is coming out, although I've sprayed it'll go sort of slightly wonky. And here, this is a lovely pattern where you've got the reverse. You've got the negative shape being the white, and the background, which was where the paint was on the stencil, showing through. So that's nice with gentle colors. It's going to look quite a lot darker than that when the paper's dry, because as you can see, the paper gets fairly translucent while we're working. So let's set that aside, and let's just take another sheet of paper and a different stencil and see what we're going to do. I think what I'll do here is take this lovely one with the geometric patterns. Now, I don't want the edges of the stencil design particularly, so this one I'm going to maybe put in a little bit of this wilted violet, and I think let's put some salvage patina. Ooh, that could be a happy accident. And let's go a little bit bold with just one squirt of the mowed lawn. All right, I'm looking at this as being possibly shells of something like that. You'll see that I'm not being too careful how I actually apply this onto the paper. I'm kind of putting the colors in random places. I think this is part of the joy of doing this kind of work, is that you just actually relax. You're not worried about the end result. It's going to be what it's going to be. You're going to be able to use all the bits that you have, tear them up, do various different mixed media projects, and just have fun with it. Right, I've wet the paper so that I can actually allow some of the colors just to bleed and soften out. It's quite interesting because I did put, there's the violet, but you see, okay, so here's a lesson in color mixing. The violet is mixed with the green, and the green is made up of blue and yellow. So where you've got three primary colors, which are red, yellow and blue, you will find that your colors will start to go slightly more brown. And that's exactly what's happened here, is that the violet, which is blue and red, has mixed with the blue and yellow. So I'm not seeing the violet as such, it's gone slightly darker. You will see here that it's actually going underneath the stencil a little bit. I'm actually not fazed about that at all. We're just having fun. You could, if you wanted to, use one of your little applicator brushes like one of these. If you wanted to spread color on, I would spritz it with water just to make it wet first. But I could, if I wanted to, take that and just blend the color like this onto the surface. That will work well. Might be a little bit easier for those of you that don't want to work with a brush, because it will be quicker. So you could use that to spread it out, and if you left your stencil on here until this was dry, you could actually go over it with your inks as well. Alright, so that being the first one, where there will be a bit of bleeding because of the water. Look how nice that's come out. So we're going to do the same thing that we did previously, so we're just going to flip this over, and I'm going to just take what I have here, just a little bit here. So you're going to get a dark print and you're going to get a light print, and that's okay. Sorry, when I use this little sponge, it does actually make the table move a little bit. One day I'll show you my little rinky-dinky filming setup I've got here. I don't have a lot of space, and so I had to look very carefully for something that would actually be suitable, and I think I found just the perfect setup for me. Anyway, right, so let's have a look at that one. A softer watery effect. Quite like it with this little splash of blue in between. Okay, so let's do another one. I don't know if any of you have got children in your family that have been writing exams. I don't know how they've gone for everybody. I do pray for all the children that are writing at the moment, and indeed university students as well. I know that they do find it awfully stressful, some of them. And yeah, we just pray that the Lord will just direct their steps and guide them in their endeavours, because it can be quite a difficult time for teens. So I'm just actually using some Lost Shadow with some Weathered Wood Spritz stain, and let's work that in here. This being the one that looks a little bit like either a fisherman's net or some burlap sacking. You could of course do this with your ink pads. That's absolutely fine. It would work exactly the same way. I just find that with this I've got a few more options with colors, and it's quite a lot easier just to mix the colors. So this is a fairly light background here. I think I might introduce just a little bit of the faded jeans just to get a little bit of contrast, and I'll just go in there randomly and soften that out a bit, just so that it's not all the same. There we go. When you start with lighter colors like this on a surface, they tend to make the rest of your colors glow, because they will show through all those little bits underneath. That's lovely, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. All right, so I'm going to overlap this edge piece here with a piece that I've already done the paint on, and I'm just going to pick up this color that I have here, remembering that I haven't put the Lost Shadow underneath, so this side will be slightly different. And let's see what happens. I think one of the hardest things to sort of break through in one's own mind is just to realize that enjoy the process, you know, just have fun with what you're doing. Don't worry too much about whether it looks like somebody else's work that you've seen that you admire, or whether it is perfect. Quite a lot of the time, just having the fun is just so good for one that it outweighs any of the other benefits. And if you are using your materials here that you're doing for collage, then you will use these, because you very seldom use a whole sheet of paper all at once. So I'm using my little sponge applicator here just to pick up all this residue of ink, and this is going to be considerably lighter than the rest. There we go. We just use all those last little bits. Alright, so you'll see the contrast between this and the ones that I did first is this is quite a lot drier in application, so you're able to see the intensity of the color a lot more quickly. But you will see when I come to show you the final results at the end that they do dry up very nicely. So that's that one. Then let's choose another one to go with. Which one should we do? Oh, should we do the stars? I think the stars will be fun, and the reason why I put them with the sea things, because one of the things I loved to do as a child, we used to go to my grandfather's beach cottage, and it was just the most magical place because it was remote, and yeah, we had to walk down this high cliff to actually get to the cottage, and then once we'd actually got there, we had to carry everything down. There was no electricity, no running water, and it was fun. It really was fun. There were huge big sand dunes behind us. There was a petrified forest. So for you, those of you that don't know what a petrified forest is, sorry, I'm using Lost Shadow and Wilted Violet here. A petrified forest is basically a forest that's become almost like a desert, and it's got fossilized trees and things there. So we used to go and pick up all this petrified wood in this forest. It wasn't a forest, it was actually just like a wilderness, dry, dry, dry. And then there was also what is known as a kitchen midden. And the kitchen midden is where the Stone Age people used to sit and eat. So there were all kinds of tools that had been made from bones, animals and fish bones. And then there were various stone implements. They would sort of sharpen some of the stones to actually make them into almost like a little knife. And the area where my grandfather's cottage was is an area called Blombos, which you can Google on the map. It's really interesting. There's a professor called Professor Henshelwood who used to go, well, he still goes down there, and it's an archaeological dig site, and it's world renowned in the field. So it was really unspoilt and wasn't known at the time. We used to play in the caves which had been excavated as children, and it was just magical. Anyway, it was just part of our history. So part of what I was trying to tell you was we used to sit there, because there were no lights at night. We used to just sit there at the coast and just look at all the stars, and they were magnificent, absolutely magnificent, and I loved it. So we'll just continue doing this one with the stars, working with just our 3 colors. And although these are sort of bluey kind of stars, they are on a white background, so that's absolutely fine. Love those, just love those. Right, so let's pick up here a little bit more salvaged patina. Let's maybe try some weathered wood. And possibly, let's go bright, shall we? Mowed lawn. Walking to work the other day, I found this huge dandelion. I mean, I just love dandelions. They were really gorgeous, but honestly, the head of the dandelion was about this big. I'll try and see if I can find the photo I took and pop it in to show you. And the wind hadn't got it yet, so it was completely intact. And one of my sort of dreams has always been to have a necklace with a whole dandelion in this ball. I don't know how you would do it with resin, I would imagine. But this was just absolutely beautiful. But the very, very next day, the wind got up and it would have blown all of that away. So I think you've just got to be really careful when you collect dandelions to do that. And you've got to really know what you're doing, because it's tricky to get things in resin just to lay flat. Okay, I'm loving the stars, and those would be lovely to do with any kind of colours. Really happy with those. Yep. Right, so I've just got to try this map. It keeps looking at me because it's so big. Let's have a go at the map here quickly and see where we go. It won't cover the whole page, but that's absolutely fine. I'm going to position it more or less in the middle. And I think for this one I might put some slightly darker colours in. So this is Faded Jeans. We'll do the darker colours over the River Thames. And then we'll pick up some of the other colours as we go along the embankment and the strand on either side of the river. It's unlikely that I'll actually use this as a whole sheet of paper and anything. I suppose I could if I did a cover. That would probably be okay, but yeah, we'll just play with it. Let's see. When I was in London many years ago, I think probably in about 1991, I found this amazing roll of wrapping paper which had a map of London. Probably they could actually still have it these days, but I bought some and I used it so much with different things that I did at home. It was actually lovely to have that as a piece of paper to use. Right, let's have a look at the map. Let me put myself out of my misery. Oh, that is fun, isn't it? That's really fun. I like that, and just having just all the grids and the different little roads. That's really nice. Okay, so I'm going to speed along a little bit. I'm not going to do a full page of each design now. I think I'm just going to do one of each so that you just see the different images, and we will just go with that. This is a watery one, so let's use here some speckled egg, and this has got the shimmer peacock feathers. Yum. We had a zoo in Cape Town just at the bottom of Rhodes Memorial, which is a big sort of statue on the mountain. Well, it's more than a statue, it's a big building in remembrance of Cecil John Rhodes and the work that he did in Africa. Anyway, we used to go up there with my uncle as children, and just below his memorial there was a zoo. It's not there anymore, but there was a zoo. My uncle used to take me to go and see the peacocks. We used to love it. When I worked many years later for a film company, I actually had to find a white peacock to use in a film shoot. That was quite hard, actually. You don't find many albinos. That's lovely. Having said I'm only going to do one, I think I'd like to do another one with a bit more blue. So I'm going to use faded jeans and salvage patina. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, so we used to get asked to do all sorts of crazy things, but it was interesting work because you were continually being challenged, and we didn't have the internet and we didn't have Google to search. We used to have to get onto the telephone to actually start making calls and things to be able to find goodies. You know, it was really interesting. Look at that, how lovely. Right, and even this side little bit where some of the spray has spilt across, look at that. If you cut that off as a border, that's really lovely. Great. So the next one I think we'll do is this nautical one, because I'll be able to do two of these. And I'm going to go in here with my wilted violet, and I've got a little bit of salvage patina here, so let's see how we do there. Oh, this is quite nice, sort of muted colours. So pretty. Funny, we collected lots of pansy seeds last year for growing at work, and they don't seem to come up very strong plants, which is unusual because pansies are normally fairly resilient. They can sit outside all winter, and this year they just haven't done well, except for the ones where they were left outside in the farmhouse and they've been pretty much neglected. Those ones seem to have done well. Maybe we gave the house too much care. Anyway, well, I'm liking this one. I have just overlapped the second image, just so that if you wanted to use it right up to the edge, that there is a little bit of colour. Yeah, I like that. And as you can see, I'm not being too precious about all of this. I think I'm not going to bother too much with these because those are fairly easy to do. I think we'll just use this one, which has just got the bubbles and stuff, and let's see what this one is like. So let's use weathered wood, and we will use salvage patina. So we've got two different colors. Going right to the edge because this has got a sort of uneven border. Yep, this is lovely. Oh, I can't tell you how relaxed I'm feeling doing this. It really is good therapy. Okay, that's come out really nicely. So let's turn the other one the other way just for the sake of being interesting, and we'll quickly just use up the last of this. Well, as you can see, it's just been a few minutes playing around, having some fun, and just showing you that it doesn't matter if it doesn't look wonderful to begin with, because by the time it's dried it's going to look much more intense color wise, and also you'll be able to use all your scraps up, all your little borders, all your irregular shapes. They will all come in use at some stage in one of your projects. So I just wanted at this stage say I'm going to show you all the dried images in a minute, and just say thank you for joining me. I do really appreciate you watching my channel. It really is amazing to have had so many people comment, and please, if you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and also just hit the notification button. Do try and post every week so that there are many videos coming out all the time. Thank you. Bye for now. Here we go. So my papers have dried, and it really didn't take long. It was just a few minutes. I love the way that the Spritz stains have this slight shimmer to them, and I don't know if you can really see it on camera. I'm hoping that as I'm moving it in the light you can see that they've got a little bit of a shimmer to them. So that's the one. Here was the one with all the compasses and things. This was the watery one. Rather like those colours. This was the one that I did first, where I sprayed on the extra water, and although it has made the paper sort of buckle a little bit, I'm going to put this under a heavy book and that will press out and it'll be flat. But I do like those shapes, so I could quite easily, if I'm wanting to make like a sea urchin, cut one of those out. This was the initial bubble one. Not sure that I'm very fond of that one. Yeah, I think the thing there is just look out for not having too many big bridges. By the bridges I mean the big white areas on the top. This is the one that looked like netting or burlap. That's come out nicely. Let's move this along. And here are the stars. I'm happy with these ones. And here's the fun one of the Thames River and some of the streets in London. So there we go. All the different papers that we've made in just a few minutes of fun together. Thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, I'm going to just put a display of these out so you can have a closer look.